Selling into wholesale is a fantastic solution for brands who have figured out their costing structure. But if you haven't figured out your pricing yet and you're going to take short margins, wholesale might not be the right next step for you.
The Business of Apparel Podcast is your one-stop shop to learn how to launch, grow, and scale your apparel brand. I'm your host, Rachel Erickson. Now let's jump in.
Welcome back to the Business of Apparel Podcast, where today, if you're watching me here on YouTube, you've probably noticed a little bit that we're back in the white void. We are moving again here at the Erickson household, and I apologize if you hear a little bit of an echo. I've got a little more stuff in my office now than I did when I recorded the Mondays that I just did for the week, but it's still a little bit in works. I will say the house is a mess. I feel like my life is a mess, but we're moving forward. We are here today. We're going to be talking about wholesale 101, basically. I'm going to teach you what I know about selling into wholesale. And one of the biggest factors that is going to indicate whether or not you are ready to start selling into boutiques and wholesale and other kinds of accounts is your pricing. Now, I've talked about margins ad nauseum. You're probably sick of me talking about margins up in here. But if you do not have a margin structure or you do not have a direct-to-consumer margin percentage that is going to allow you still a healthy margin in wholesale, there is quite a bit of work to be done before you can start selling into wholesale. Now, why would you want to sell into wholesale? All of us take bigger margins, we take bigger sales, we take bigger amounts of cash whenever we can sell from our own store, whether that's online or an actual brick and mortar. You're going to take all that cash into your own ecosystem. There is no middleman when it comes to selling direct to consumer, right? You sell the goods to somebody, they give you money. There's no one to pay in between. Wholesale is the opposite of that, where you basically pay someone to take inventory off of your hands, whether that be a boutique, whether that be a specialty run shop, whether that be Macy's or a department store, and then they sell to the customer. So you're basically a partner in this together. Finding boutiques or department stores or specialty shops that are willing to take your items can be a trick in itself. So what a lot of us end up doing is extending our development timeline to be able to sell into wholesale in a very special way. It's a very, very traditional sales model. It's based around an entire practice that we call salesman samples. So if you've ever heard of SMS, now special makeup samples can be also SMS, but here I'm talking about SMS as salesman samples. And you kind of hear it left or right. You kind of hear it A or B. You kind of hear it like used interchangeably. That acronym is definitely used in both ways in the industry. So if you hear SMS and you're talking about making something special for a special client, or you're making like a small run in a special colorway, or maybe you're making something just for a race, that would be a special makeup sample. If you are making something for your sales team or for you to go out and start selling to wholesale, selling to boutiques, those are salesman samples. Now, the trick with the salesman sample process is that it extends your development and production timelines almost to double. That's correct. I said double. So in a regular timeline, where if you were just going to sell direct to consumer, you needed to develop some styles, get them up on your website, get them produced, we might be able to get that done anywhere from 9 to 12 months.
You started your apparel brand a few years ago with a vision. And maybe you've thought to yourself, I should be able to figure this out on my own, right? Or maybe you've been searching for a quick fix, like a new manufacturer, believing that's the missing piece. But what if the real problem isn't your manufacturer? What if the secret to scaling isn't doing more, but doing it differently? What if you could stop wasting money on the wrong things and avoid costly mistakes? What if you could gain insider knowledge and community support from a team that has over 70 years of combined experience working for the hugest brands on the planet? Introducing my Masterclass, Secrets Behind Billion-Dollar Apparel Brands. This Masterclass is for you if you're ready to stop feeling stuck, frustrated, and insecure. It's time to stop putting out fires and start building a profitable, fulfilling brand that can stand the test of time. Join me and learn the real talk, transparent mentorship that the industry doesn't offer. Discover how to create a brand that works for you, not the other way around. Go to thebusinessofapparel.com/secrets and sign up today.
If you are including a salesman sample process, we tend to see that doubled to about 18 to 24 months. And this is why so many big brands on the planet, like when I used to work at Specialized, we worked on a salesman sample process. We got salesman samples out to our sales teams. So we went through the whole process, right? You go from A to Z, coming from design into development, you go into fittings, you get your styles just right, and then you order all of your salesman samples. And it basically ends up being a small production run because you need to have as many styles and as many new colors as you're going to want to offer to all of those boutiques or department stores or specialty shops so that the buyers from those stores can see them. They can see how the colors all go together. They can visualize how it would be merchandised in their store. They might even be able to try items on. And so usually our sales team will take a big bag with like rolling racks and all kinds of stuff. They will set up a display, and the buyers from the stores that they hope to sell into will then go through the entire assortment with them and choose what they want for their particular store. After that sales period is over, usually we gave them anywhere from 30 to 60 days. They came back to us with their exact orders plus any overage that they felt like they could then continue selling into. So for example, if we had like an amazing salesperson who every time he went to his specialty shops, he sold in X amount of units, and then during the time from when we took his order to when we delivered the final production process, and then from the time when he placed that order with us with the exact amount of numbers to the time when we were going to be able to deliver the final product, he typically year over year or season over season could sell an additional 30%. He would add that 30% to his order. We collect all of that from our salespeople. We put that into one big spreadsheet to our factories, and then that is our production purchase order for the season. Now, best practices if you are doing that when it comes to development is to go through your prototyping rounds first. So if you've gone through 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 prototyping rounds on really complicated styles, you should really be aiming for just 2 to 3 on most things. Then you go to your salesman samples. Then you go out and your sales team sells everything. Once you get back the numbers, this is also your indicator to know whether or not you have any duds in your line. So if you're doing it this way, and let's say you're selling 10 different pieces, you've given your sales team those 10 pieces in every single colorway that you're going to offer them in. They took them to all the shops, and the shops ordered 8 of the 10 pieces. There are 2 garments in that entire line in every single colorway that not a single person wanted. Nobody wanted it. This is the opportunity for you now to say, hey, my customers are sending me a message. They're telling me they don't want this. We're going to actually drop these from the line and not proceed forward into production or into size sets. For the items that do succeed, you now want to proceed into size sets, checking your grade rule, and then you want to go into pre-production round and approve to production. So those rounds take a little bit of extra time too, right? It's not as long as that original development round that you were going through, but it is additional development that you need to finish up before you can actually go into full development processes. So now you're in production, and believe it or not, it's just taken a really long time to go through that whole process, allowing that sales window to go sell into wholesale and make sure that your numbers are right can be a really long addition to your timeline, but it can also be incredibly helpful for your numbers. In a situation in the past where you might have been guessing what your forecast was or guessing how much inventory you could actually sell, now you've pre-sold a really large chunk of it. So you know you already have these orders in hand. You already have purchase orders in hand from these boutiques. As long as you deliver on time, you're golden. You've got their money. And depending on your terms, you might even be able to collect some pre-sale money up front. So you can definitely work with your different boutiques, your different shops, your different wholesalers on any of that. So the number one thing that you are going to need to know when you are going out and making these sales calls, making these appointments, showing up at shops, is your costing sheet. That is going to be the number one piece of paper that you're going to be carrying around with you, Because even though it's really nice to show all of the garments and to have your buyers be able to touch everything, see everything in person, that sales page, that pricing page is going to be the piece of information that they need and want to know. And so here is the rule. The goal, the keystone pricing that you want to have with every single wholesaler that you work with, ideal state is a 50-50 split. So let's say, for example, you are making a beautiful jacket that you sell on your website for $100. We're just going to make the numbers easy here. For $100, you can sell that direct to consumer. To sell it to your wholesaler, you are going to sell it to them for $50. And then they are going to sell it to the customer for $100. So now your pricing matches, right? Their pricing in their store matches your pricing at your store. So nobody's competing with each other. You don't want to compete with your wholesalers, that's for sure. And if you're going to offer discounts or you're going to be doing sales or clearances, you want to keep them in the loop because it's very important that they have the opportunity to have the same kind of pricing structure that you have. So if you're going to have a sale, they might also want to have a sale on your items so that they can try to move that inventory a little bit faster. The tricky part is if you are taking a short margin on that $100 direct-to-consumer price, selling it to your wholesaler for $50 is going to break your bank. And this is where we see so many different brands get themselves into really big trouble because they see the opportunity to have wholesalers help them get exposure, right? This is the key to wholesale. You want your apparel, your garments, your line out in front of as many eyes as possible. It is a volume game right now. We need the most amount of people to see our stuff the most amount of times before they decide to buy. And so going wholesale can be a great opportunity for that reason, because now not only do people have to come directly to your place, whether that's your online shop or your brick and mortar, to see the clothes that you sell, they can go other places and now see it too. And so we see a lot of brands get really excited about this opportunity, but they don't have the costing structure to be able to support it. And so when they go and they sell all of this inventory into wholesale, they take such a short margin that at the end of the day, when it comes to the time that they spent on developing it, marketing it, creating the production, sourcing all of the fabrics, sourcing all of the trims, doing all of that work, paying their team, paying themselves, all of that time, they actually end up losing quite a bit of money when they go into wholesale if they don't have the structure right. So when you're looking at your numbers, if you're looking at your line planning spreadsheet, and if you don't have our line planning spreadsheet yet, go to thebusinessofapparel.com/gift and download yours today because it is totally free. It is super helpful. We already have formulas in that spreadsheet for you, so you can go ahead and just fill out the information that you know, fill out your tariff percentages, fill out your costs, fill out what you want to sell the items for. It's going to calculate your margins for you. The formulas are already in there. So it's going to do the hard work for you if you just go ahead and download that from thebusinessofapparel.com/gift. It is my gift to you because I want you to know your numbers. It is so important.
You've put in the hours, you've mastered the fundamentals, and your brand is no longer a passion project. But somewhere along the way, the hustle that got you here started to feel like a trap. You're building a business, not just making clothes, and you're starting to wonder if you'll ever crack the code to consistent, profitable growth. What if I told you that industry's top brands aren't just working harder, they're working smarter, with a clear blueprint for everything from line planning to streamlining their supply chain? This is the insider knowledge that's typically kept behind closed doors, but now it's accessible to you. Introducing The Board, an annual membership designed to give you that strategic advantage. Led by a team with over 70 years of combined experience, we provide the honest, real talk mentorship you need to move from busy to truly successful. We'll show you how to focus on the small, consistent actions that lead to massive progress, helping you build a legacy without the burnout. It's time to stop second guessing yourself and start building with purpose. Don't pay attention to the chaos. Pay attention to what actually matters. Join the board and unlock the proven systems that will transform your brand. Go to thebusinessofapparel.com to find the option that's right for you. I can't wait to see you in there.
So when you're calculating that out on your line planning spreadsheet, if you put in your direct-to-consumer retail price of $100, you will probably be in a really great spot if you see 75%-ish in that margin box for every single style. That is going to give you a very healthy 50-50 split when it comes to wholesale. Now that seems exorbitant. I think a lot of people kind of look at the apparel industry and say, oh my God, 75% margins. Like, can you imagine making that on any kind of product? Well, once you add in, like I said, all of the time, all of the effort, all of the marketing, all of the development fees, all of the material fees, all of the shipping fees, all of the packaging fees, once you add all of that in, it's actually not that big of a margin. So don't fool yourself into thinking that 75% is too high. It is not. It is actually where all of the biggest brands in the industry aim to be for their direct-to-consumer sales, so that they have the ample opportunity to sell into wholesale whenever they want. Now, there are some wholesalers who will ask you for a bigger percentage than Keystone 50-50. And we call it Keystone because that's the ideal state. That's what we want every wholesale account to be at. Everybody is a win-win, right? Everybody makes 50% on that kind of a deal. Some wholesalers that I've encountered really want to get their own 55 to 60% margin on everything that they buy. And so this is up to you to negotiate. You need to know what terms you are willing to do. And if you go in with the knowledge of what you are willing to accept, what you are not willing to accept, what your pricing structure is, and what you are able to offer to them, you are going to be in such a good spot when you go into these sales meetings. Now, when is the best time to start talking to wholesale accounts? Number one, when your costing structure is ready for it. Number two, ASAP. If you guys search through our past podcasts and you look for the episode with Kelly Roach, she talks about how when she started her apparel brand, she wishes that she had taken all of the time that they were in development to go start meeting with wholesale accounts and wholesale buyers so that she could have had them ready to go as soon as she had her product ready to sell to them. So if your costing structure is ready to go and you know that you're going to be ready for wholesale right out the gate, I would really recommend that you start going into those shops and just meeting people, talking to people, leaving a business card, asking them questions, figuring out what their buying schedule is. If you go in April of 2026 and try to sell into wholesale, you might find that those boutiques and those shops have already purchased their next batch of inventory and you are way too late. If you can go in there now and start asking those questions, when do you buy for the spring? When do you buy for the fall? Do you buy it any other times? Do you have spots left open on your floor? Do you have any brands who are maybe falling out? Do you have any new brands coming in? Those kinds of questions can be really, really informative to you as you are starting to plan out your wholesale strategy. So like Kelly said in her interview with me when we were talking on the Business of Apparel podcast, starting to think about your wholesale strategy, starting to have those conversations as soon as possible is very, very smart. And speaking of wholesale strategy, what tends to be ideal is a mix of wholesale and direct to consumer. Very few people these days are doing completely wholesale because they don't get the opportunity to gain the benefits of a direct to consumer margin if they go 100% wholesale. However, there are still some old school brands I know, especially in the cycling industry, we're really old school over there, who love to just sell into bike shops. That is their 100% sales plan. They only ever sell into bike shops. Very few of them actually hold a ton of inventory for their own e-commerce stores. For you, I highly recommend that you at least have a 70-30 split. At the most, sell 70% of your inventory into wholesale. Keep at least 30% of that inventory as direct to consumer, and it will really help boost your bottom line margin percentages, even though it's going to be less than a third of your total revenue. So when you are building out your business plan and you're looking at wholesale versus direct to consumer, that's a little bit of advice that I can give to you. If you can bring that wholesale mix down a little bit, your margins are just going to get healthier and healthier and healthier. Now, if you have any questions about going into wholesale, selling into boutiques, or what your mix should be with direct to consumer sales, I would love for you to reach out to me. You can always leave comments below this YouTube video right here and we will get back to you. You can also always reach out to us by going to thebusinessofapparel.com/contact and you can reach out to us there. I hope this gave you a little extra knowledge and I hope you learned like a nugget more about wholesale in this episode. If you think someone else could benefit from it, please share it with them. We always really appreciate our audience giving us a shout out. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Happy holidays. I will be here next week with you, even though it is going to be Christmas Day. We will celebrate a little bit with yet another episode of the Business of Apparel podcast. Have a great week. See you then.
Thank you so much for listening to the Business of Apparel podcast. I would so appreciate hearing your thoughts on the show. And if you know someone who could benefit from it, please share it with them. My biggest desire is to help other apparel professionals understand the nuances of our industry so we can all work toward making better product for a better world. If you would like to connect further, I'd love to invite you to send me a message through my website, thebusinessofapparel.com, where I do weekly trainings through my YouTube video channel, a weekly newsletter, blog articles, and so many more resources to help you start and scale a profitable apparel brand. This podcast is produced by Box 7 Media, who I cannot speak highly enough of. If you're looking to start your own podcast, you can reach out to Jeremy at Box 7 Media on LinkedIn anytime.